The MV Commercial 2019 British Truck Racing Association Championship about to get underway here at Pembrey. First race of 4 for the Division 1 trucks, and pole position for this race is Ryan Smith, with to his outside Simon Reed, John Newell and Mark Taylor on row 2. David Jenkins is in 5th. Jenks was pole position in qualifying but has a grid penalty carried over from Brands Hatch. So although it's fastest off the front, it is in essence for Dave Jenkins a reverse grid race, so he's got some work to do as Ryan Smith leads the returning Simon Reed down the main straight here and into Hatchett's hairpin. We are British Truck Racing here, 15 minutes around the Pembrey circuit in prospect, with Smith leading from Reed, Newell, then Mark Taylor. David Jenkins wasn't able to get the run round the outside going into Hatchett, so he's got to pick them off one by one and try and come through the field, but it's Ryan Smith that gets away. Smith with a tie and points coming into this race, 57 points shared with David Jenkins, both of those two joint championship leaders, but Ryan Smith having picked up 2 race wins at Brands Hatch, and on countback it goes to race win, so we can effectively call him championship leader. But it's early days to be talking about tie-breaking situations as Dave Jenkins looks at Ryan's teammate Mark Taylor. Mark had his first podium at Brands Hatch, and Jenks tees him up, gets a good run, and now comes through on the inside line and takes 4th position. So the Hiab Digraph MAN already making a bit of progress through the field, and making progress at the sharp end is Ryan Smith, who's starting to build a lead over John Newell in 2nd place. We're on board with John, the man from Rotherham, in the number 18 truck, and he's looking at Simon Reed holding P2 at the moment. Great to see Simon back, been persuaded to come out and race again, was going to take some time off this year. So they come through Debenny and head along the part of the circuit that only the trucks use now, the national circuit. There is a runoff which goes through the club corner, then down into the Senna S's where they are now. I can't remember if Senna raced here himself, Ayrton Senna, but certainly did a fair bit of testing here. Then down to the Brooklands hairpin, and this the view along Speedway Straight of Ryan Smith, the race leader, getting away from Simon Reed. John Newell still in 3rd, and Dave Jenkins is trying his hardest to close in at the moment on the 3rd place machine. Jenks will know he's got the pace after the qualifying session this morning. Absolutely perfect conditions here at Pembrey Circuit. What a contrast, big sideways moment there for Mark Taylor in 5th place at the back of the field. And I'll take a moment to talk about Mark, because that 5th place 81 truck in its first dry outing here, as Jenkins will come back to that, because Dave Jenkins challenging for 3rd place. Has a look down the inside line, goes slightly back out wider into the hairpin. That is one tight corner as well. Doesn't really show the tight nature of the corner here on the TV pictures, but if you get the opportunity to come here, walk the circuit, you'll see just how tight that is, particularly for these big heavy machines. Big heavy and fast machines, we have to say. So Ryan Smith continues on his way. First flying lap for Ryan, a blistering 1 minute 10.901, averaging 73.92 miles per hour, and hence him putting away from Simon Reed in that 2nd place at the moment. Simon, of course, the former Division 2 truck racing champion. His brother started in Division 2 last year, and the pair of them both racing well. We saw Simon picking up a win, I think, tail end of last year, and looking good for a potential podium here, currently in 2nd place, with John Newell very much receiving the attentions of Dave Jenkins. The camera sitting well back in the cab tends to accentuate the gap between the truck in front. John Newell gets a tank slapper on there on the brakes. The back end wants to come round, and David Jenkins goes through into 3rd place, and John Newell loses out. Is Mark Taylor going to go past as well? Yes, he does. So Mark Taylor up into 4th, and John Newell possibly brake problems, we don't know. We'll have to catch up with him at the end of the race. But Dave Jenkins now finds himself in 3rd place from 5th. 2 very hard-earned place changes. He was catching, but not particularly hassling John Newell. There is the 69 truck. So it's Ryan Smith now from Simon Reed in second, then David Jenkins. They're coming out of the Brooklands hairpin. This is Speedway Straight. They go through Carter's Curve and then down into Honda. Our camera is based at Carter's Curve here and positioned so that we can see them coming along Speedway Straight, and then on the run here down into Honda corner where they are now. And our next camera at Hatchett's hairpin picks them up with Ryan Smith having already completed the lap. Hasn't improved on his lap 2 time, but the championship leader here on for another potential 16 points, 15 for the win and an extra point for fastest lap. But Dave Jenkins may well have something to say about that, because Jenkins fastest in qualifying and might get his truck come on song as the race goes on. So Smith will at the moment pull out extra point for fastest lap. He'll pull out an extra 3 points of the championship lead to David Jenkins. But we've got 4 races this weekend, so there's plenty of time for Jenks to overturn that. We've got races 2 and 4, the reverse grid races. Slight change in the regulations this year by the British Truck Racing Association, whereas races 2, 3 and 4 were all reverse grids in previous seasons. We only reverse races 2 and 4 presently. Championship always looking to tweak, improve and try out new things, and the committee and the BARC always keen to do what they can to promote truck racing by delivering the very best in entertainment possible. So Jenkins closing in on Simon Reed, the Iveco leading the MAN, so it's the Iveco in a sandwich at the moment, MAN sandwich, with the Hiab machine getting closer to Simon Reed and putting the pressure on. We are about a third distance through this 15-minute race, and Simon Reed on his return, he doesn't look race rusty, but didn't race at Brands Hatch, but great to see him back out here, and hopefully will be with us the rest of the season. Superb place to watch them going through the sweep after Debeni. It's the clubhouse corner effectively, and Jenkins looking up the inside line, really monstering the 89 machine now, and this is crucial for Dave Jenkins because he needs to get the position, get the extra point, the man from Stafford, and also maybe have a go at trying to close in on Ryan Smith. But with that gap that the Mansfield man has got at the moment out front, it's going to be very difficult for Dave Jenkins to close in, particularly as Jenkins hasn't beat Ryan Smith's fastest lap yet. But David's still putting pressure on Simon Reed. Reed comes from Stoke-on-Trent, the self-entered truck, Reed Truck Sport, Iveco Stralis. First race of the year for him. There is 81 Mark Taylor. I'll go back to what I was saying about Mark. Although we're going back to this, every time we talk about Mark, we get Dave Jenkins having a go for position and comes back to the outside line here. Jenks is winding things up now. We're back to the outside line to get some flow through the corner. Maybe a quicker exit here into Spitfires where they are now. Then around the left-hander here at Debeni. Really piling the pressure on Simon Reed at the moment. They go past the truck paddock entrance. The truck paddock is on the outside here, which is wonderful for its spectator side, so that all the race fans here can mingle with the trucks, have a look, very close up look at all of the racing machinery and talk to the teams. So Pembrey, a very, very friendly, spectator friendly circuit in terms of great viewing, and they're extending the spectator banks right the way round the 2.3 mile circuit, which is managed by Phil Davies, excellently managed by Phil Davies and his team here. Always put on a good welcome and always get through their racing as well. And you might remember last year we had torrential rain. Storm Callum was in last October and we had all sorts of problems, and that was the debut for this man, Mark Taylor, and I'm going to say it this time regardless. And Mark Taylor, would you know it? We talk about Mark Taylor and we go back to Dave Jenkins putting the pressure on. What I was getting round to saying is that this is Mark Taylor's first dry meeting at Pembrey, and in terms of racing experience, it was so wet last year. I mean, the paddock in places was flooded up to 2 feet of water, but they managed to get the racing done. So this is Mark's first proper racing look in dry weather at the track, and he's learning the track in these dry conditions. Dave Jenkins still putting the pressure on Simon Reed though for second place. This has been an enthralling battle so far, and Reed hard earning second place at the moment. 14 points potentially could be his at the end of this. That will get his first points on the board for the 2017 season, having not attended Brands Hatch. We did have a very strong European contingent. Here comes David Jenkins. Jenks is challenging for P2, looks up the inside line, can't quite go through, but he was really looking hard there, so Jenkins putting the big pressure on Simon Reed. Jenkins does seem to have the momentum, but look at Ryan Smith. He is away down the road at the moment. The championship leader heading back here to John Newell, who is recovering well from his lock-up earlier on in the race. Jenkins still trying, goes for the wide line again into Hatchett's hairpin, and there's just a tantalising gap, but he can't get the momentum to go through on the inside line of Simon Reed and has to content himself with third place once again. Heading towards 2/3 distance in this one now, and Dave Jenkins, far from being frustrated, will be eager to just see Simon Reed maybe make a little mistake and nip through, and that's all it's going to take. But Reed has been inch perfect from where I'm sitting at the moment. Now Jenkins is having a look and locks up, and that's a very rare thing to see from David Jenkins, who spins off into the grass. David Jenkins was trying so hard, went in tight, locks up, and has he stalled? He's not moving. The Hiab truck is stuck. Through into third place goes John Newell. Into fourth goes Mark Taylor. Now that smacks of a mechanical problem for Jenkins as much as anything else. He is getting going, but rejoins in fifth position. So it's Ryan Smith out front. Ryan Smith will be blissfully unaware of all that going on, because that was a fair way behind him. And Simon Reed is now safe in second. John Newell in third. Dave Jenkins is fifth behind Mark Taylor. And I seriously can't see any more challenges happening before the end of the race now, because they're pretty well spread out. The only thing that might happen is we may well see a change of fastest lap, because each driver has that space on circuit, so we'll definitely see drivers looking to improve their times. But having said that, none of the drivers have improved their time since lap 3. Ryan Smith was fastest on lap 2. Taylor and Jenkins set their fastest laps on lap 2. Reed and Newell set theirs on lap 3. So it looks like the best of the trucks came out in the early stages, and I think that we may well have seen the last of the drama in this race. But they've still got a little bit of clock time ticking down here at Pembrey as Simon Reed marches merrily on his way to second position, goes through Honda corner. There is Dave Jenkins, still trying to recover, and he's got a big gap to close down on Mark Taylor. There is Ryan Smith, looking for win number 3 of the season. It was a win, a second, a win and a 5th place, and he's beginning to showboat here, is Ryan Smith. Not content with winning, not content with racing, he's now showboating for the fans. You can't see them the way the cameras are positioned, but we've got banks full of race fans there on the outside, and that's why Ryan Smith was opposite locking and giving a little nod to his racing roots, because he was originally a drifter, raced in the drifting, or competed in the drifting championship, so he is no slouch when it comes to vehicle control, and he was proving that there, and that's keeping the fans on. He knows that there's no battle for him, so he'll entertain the crowds wherever they are on track. So fair play to Ryan Smith, who is still well clear in this race. Here comes Ryan out of Honda corner, will go across the line once again and head down the side. Look at the gap that he's built. It's in excess now of, well, it's getting up to 20 seconds, the gap. John Newell still running well. A little bit of showboating again from Ryan Smith, who always wants to entertain, and you speak to him in the interviews and look at that, he is really entertaining royally. Second position still Simon Reed, you saw at the back of shot there. John Newell is in third, so Newell on for a second podium of the year. He was second in the last race at Brands Hatch, so this is not a bad start to the weekend for John Newell. Mark Taylor still in third. Fourth position, I beg your pardon, from David. And now it is third, because Simon Reed is pulling off to the outside of the track, and that means that John Newell goes second. Bitter disappointment for Simon Reed in his return to the formula. Let's hope that they can sort that problem out for race 2. But Ryan Smith on his way to the win. It's John Newell now second. Mark Taylor could be on for a second career podium in his first proper race meeting at Pembrey, and I apologise for not calling the wet meeting proper, but that was his debut. And Mark Taylor learning his way round here, and there he is in third place. Second place man John Newell there in the immaculate NWT 18 MAN TGS. But Ryan Smith, is he going to do some more showboating here? Not doing his tyres any favours, so throwing caution to the wind. He's got his head down now, but he'll probably do a nice little slide or something after the checkered flag for the fans and indeed for us on camera. So it's Smith, Newell, Mark Taylor in third. David Jenkins is in fourth after that rare sight of seeing Jenkins go off, and this will mean that Ryan Smith will pick up 16 points from this race. Jenkins will pick up 12, so the gap will extend. Championship lead 4 points for Ryan Smith as we look at John Newell, who will consolidate third position in the table. But it's Ryan Smith, goes past the pit lane into Honda for the last time. Doesn't quite grab the apex, he doesn't need to. Here he comes out of Honda, and the checkered flag is waved for the number one, the defending champion, the triple champion. Ryan Smith takes the win in race one of the weekend here at Pembrey, and he is so far clear. He's 20 plus seconds ahead of John Newell, and here is the man from Rotherham who will take second place. John's best finish of the season jointly with race 4 at Brands Hatch, rounds the final turn, gives a little toot to pick up 14 championship points for second place, and not too far behind here is Mark Taylor, who will take 13 points and the podium. Dave Jenkins trying to hunt him down just behind. Here's the result: Smith, Newell and Taylor from Jenkins. DNF for Simon Reed, fastest lap to Ryan Smith.
Ryan, many congratulations on that win. You went away from pole position, a bang, a 1 minute 10 lap very early on, and settled down into a lead which continues to grow.
Just thought push it from the beginning. You know what, we haven't got as many trucks as we normally have here this weekend, but you know, we can only do what job we've got in hand, and we just backed off after about 4 or 5 laps. Truck felt awful, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah, it's back to the drawing board. It's worst it's probably felt since I've owned it. But you know what, the other guys are fast, so I had to keep on my toes. I pumped that lap in early on just to try and get the fastest lap. So while the tyres were good and the circuit were good, I thought I'd have a go in for that lap, and obviously I think we got the fastest lap, so another point gained.
John, many congratulations on the podium. We thought you were barrier bound at one point, but you saved it, you got out of that, came through for second place.
Yeah, we're lucky to get back out of that, really. I was tracking Simon Reed nice, my lap times were quicker than his. It was only a matter of time before I'd have had him, and then I overbraked, went into a spin, but pulled it back off, and just never give up, just keep fighting. You never know what happens.
Mark, many congratulations, a second podium, so that's 2 meetings, 2 podiums, not a bad start to the season for you.
No, thank you very much for that. It is a good chance that I got it today, because from practice until now, the truck has not been right. It's been sliding, it's been locking up. I've had a lot of brake problems over testing, and to get just somewhere near for this race and to come now, or I did, I'm happy with that.